it's almost certainly true that the love that you put out in the world is the exact same that comes back to you. And for that reason, it's important to behold the fact that loving in itself is an art that has no artist other than yourself. I'm not talking about love in the capacity that, you know, you're with somebody and but it's definitely a part of love, in the sense that, you know, you can have somebody to love, but the general sense of love isn't the one I'm talking about. I think the more important sense of love is the self-love. If you're not willing to put in a certain degree of love for yourself, how are you going to expect that from the world? How are you going to expect that from another person? So it's simply a means of whatever you input is what is output. Uh, the modern environment is such that many people aren't able to love themselves in the way that they wish to be loved by other people. It's, you know, it's unfortunate to say the least, isn't it? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to be hypocritical about anything, because I believe that even in myself, like, there's no one perfect person. Even if I'm sitting here, I'm saying the concept of self-love. I'm victim to self deprivation as well. I believe we all are, you know, but I think if we don't bounce back from moments in our life where we feel like we've been stunted, where we feel that we've been sort of broken down, or, you know, we feel like the whole universe just at one point colluded to just to put us to shit. If we aren't able to come back from that, then it's just only going to digress to be worse and worse. So for that reason, the concept of self-love needs to be explored. I mean, a lot of people are going to chase relationships. They're going to chase people that they want. They're going to chase, maybe not even people, an ideal that they want, a goal that they want, something from life that they want. You ultimately can't get anything from life if you're not going to love yourself enough to get it. If you know what I'm saying. If you know what I'm saying, you feel me? If say, let's use an example for a goal. Let's say that you've been chasing something for a really long time. You want to open a business. If you lack the self-love and the self-confidence and the self-willingness to get yourself started, to get yourself to continue, to get yourself going even when it's not working for you, you're not going to be able to open that business. You need to have the self-love to be able to gift yourself the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. And look, not everyone's going to want to open a business, so I'll throw in the general sense of loving a person. You want a partner. Simple comings. I mean, it eventually happens to most people, but you can't expect to want from someone when you're not someone that you want for yourself. If you wouldn't want you, then why would somebody else want you? So for that reason, we need to learn to love the self. We need to learn to love ourselves, to want ourselves, to behold ourselves above any circumstance, situation, or person, irrespective of okay, I was about to say irrespective of other people's feelings, but obviously there's a line. You can't just be, you know, apathetic and just, you know, screw everybody. But you, within limits, obviously within reason, place yourself and your needs first. You know, you can't have a sense of love for other people unless you have a sense of love for yourself. A lot of the time, we find ourselves hitting a brick wall in terms of what we want, and that only ends up with us not getting what we want. In that sense, it's a psychological phenomenon, I believe. Don't hold me to that, but it's a psychological phenomenon called Pike syndrome, where You know, they experimented on pikefish, which is, it's a decent little predator that we find in the common British oceans, not oceans, sorry, rivers. Uh, but they take a pikefish, which eats other smaller fish, place it in a tank with a little glass barrier separating the pikefish from the smaller fish that it wants to eat. The pike slams its face into the little glass window so many times, so many times, so many times until it just stops. It realizes that there's a barrier there and it can't get it. It can't get the fish that it wants. Now, after a little while, the scientists remove the little window and the little fish are just swimming around, swimming about with the pike. The pike is meant to eat them, but it just sits there. And eventually it dies from starvation, being surrounded by the food that was meant to keep it alive. And it's really representative of the situation that we have today with a lot of people. And it's not even just today, it's always been the general condition with mankind. We're always surrounded by opportunity. You know, sometimes we are, sometimes we're not. You know, it depends actually. I'm going to retract what I said being always surrounded. But when we are surrounded, we oftentimes starve in a room full of opportunity. We fail even though success is all around us. We deprecate ourselves and deprive ourselves of the love and the attention that we need, saying things that, you know, I don't think I can make it. You know, even though XYZ person was able to do it, or this person was able to do it, or someone did something, I'm not going to be able to do the same something because I'm not them. And even if we have everything laid out in front of us, you know, ready to just be taken, ready for the opportunity to be pounced on, we just sit there and rot because we don't have the self-love to get started. It's representative of the situation that we have where we surround ourselves with people who don't really want to see us win. And that's not always the truth for every situation. But a lot of the time it is true. You know, you will not have the support when you want it. People will call you cringe. People will say some shit that you don't want to hear, man. And when we're faced with that sort of situation, we'd much rather not hear the things that we don't want to hear from people that we're so close to than just do the thing that we want to do. You feel me? So what ends up happening is we sit there and we never take that first step. We never have the self-love to take the step that we want to take in getting what we want, because we fear too much that the people around us are going to bring us down and mock us and ridicule us. But you know, there's two ways this digresses. Either you get started and you find out, hey, you know what, the people around me, they didn't care. They didn't want to deprive me. They wanted to see me win. And so you put it off for no reason. Or the second thing is that you were right and they do deprive you and they ridicule you and they mock you and everything that you didn't want, and that happens to you. But is it really a scenario where you want to be surrounded by those people anyway? I think you need the self-love to be able to detach yourself from those people as well. And then I think everything in life just circles back to this one concept of self-love. If you don't love yourself, you can never find the love in anything else. You can never find the love in a person, in a situation. You can't find the love in the universe because there's so much love in the universe. There's so much. It's like practically throwing up rainbows and happiness and sunshine. But you know what is, beauty never left the moment. We did. And we need to be able to find that beauty within ourselves, to realize that the beauty is everywhere. We aren't separate from the universe. We are the universe. And in that sense, if we can find the beauty in the universe, we can find the beauty in the self, there's going to be beauty everywhere. You know, we can't really separate ourselves from the idea of beauty, because if there isn't any beauty in the self, then how are you going to expect to find it anywhere else? You can't. It's as simple as that. So you, yourself, it's synonymous with beauty. And the moment we recognize that, it could open up a trap to a whole bunch of narcissistic exploitation of other people. But well, to look beyond that, it's not to say in an egotistical sense. Obviously, it's obviously love to help, lift your own spirits, just keep you high. You know what? You don't want to put yourself down in any situation. And I was watching a video on Alex Hormozy today, and he was just talking about what sets you apart is the ability to be cringe. Sometimes you need to be able to recognize that we're following a set of rules in society that only work to bring us down. And then at some point in our lives, you need to ask yourself, whose rules are we actually following and why are we following them? Anyone can make anything cringe, because anyone who cares about anything is cringe. I mean, the cringiest thing of all, to be fair, is to be scared of feeling cringe. And, even saying the word cringe makes me cringe a little bit. But I think we need to have the self-love to be cringe. If we don't have the self-love to be cringe, then you know what? We're just going to be copy-paste people. And I think that's the beauty of humanity, is that we're not copy and paste. We're all uniquely ourselves, and it's what separates us from one another, but it's also what brings us together in that sense. It's our uniqueness that doesn't divide. It's a uniqueness. Goodness gracious! It's a uniqueness that unites us all, and I think we need to be able to celebrate our distinct characteristics in that sense. And just because it fosters a togetherness. If we were all the same, then what's the fun in being human? You know what I'm saying? And you know what? You have to take that risk. You need to have that love to take the risk, because if you don't ever take the risk, you won't ever really find out who you really are. And if it's like a principle or a matter of you not feeling comfortable with losing everything that you have, that's a survival instinct. You can't lose anything. The worst case scenario is death. And if you died, you're not alive to care about what happened. And if you're alive, you did it and you didn't die. So what are you worried about? That's all to say, you can't be exceptional without being an exception. That being said, love yourself enough to let go from the things that are holding you back, from the people that are holding you back. And that's not to say, slam everybody out. That's more of a sense that, you should set your boundaries and recognize, I'm going to be a little more presently aware, because if I can find the love in the self, I can find the love anywhere. Simple workings, love is an art. That's all that matters, man. That being said, might have noticed a little cut. I don't usually do cuts. I'm gonna apologize profusely from my own heart. My heart. My brother walked in and I had to cut the video, but that's all good. This is the second of my weekly uploads. Keep them coming. I'm gonna keep them coming. Don't worry. If you don't want to hear it, you're gonna hear it anyway, unfortunately. This whole experience is a little bit more for me than it is for anybody else out there. I journal quite a lot, and I just want to have a video account of my journey as I progress. I think I'm coming up quite close to a turning point in my life, in my career, in everything. In everything, I'm coming really close to a turning point, and I just want to see a little before and after for my own self. That being said, I need to probably reference my own inspirations for this. Profound pondering is where I plaster a lot of my nonsense from. Alex Hormozy, obviously, Bailey Shortbook. But yeah, You know what? Just I think everyone just needs to start their own journey. Uh, I think everyone's already started their journey. Matter of fact, they just need to recognize that they started it. We're all walking towards a destination. We're all working to get somewhere, but we don't recognize where we're going until we're present enough with ourselves to recognize where we're going. And part of that presentness involves self-love. So yeah, that's all. Keep being you, keep being great. You know, a lot on the way, a lot already here. Just keep loving yourself, man. Just keep loving yourself. That's all, man. I'll be back next week. Safe.